I'm Lou Yardley and I'm an indie horror author from the UK. Welcome to the very first episode of Fiends Screams. Yay! It's a catchy title and I'm rather proud of it. This is the very first almost sort of regular podcast where I'll be reading my short stories, taster chapters from my novels, and probably just talking about horror in general because I watch a lot of horror and I read a lot of horror, so I talk about horror a lot. So rather than just boring everyone I know, I can bore strangers as well, so that's exciting. I'm going for a multi-pronged approach with getting this out into the big wide world, so you'll be able to listen to it on Podbean, YouTube and Vimeo. Obviously the YouTube and Vimeo versions will be without any video, but don't worry, actual videos will be coming to those channels very soon, so please feel free to subscribe. It would be lovely to have you there. The plan is to get a couple of these recorded each month, but life has a habit of throwing curveballs at me at the moment, so I'll do the best I can. If you do like what you hear, please feel free to check out some of the links that are lurking in the description. Then we'll be able to chat on social media, and you'll have the option of buying my books if you're into that. Without further ado, I'll get down to business. I wrote Magda last year as a piece of short flash fiction for my Patreon site. I really enjoyed the story, so I wanted to share it a little wider in audio form. So here we go. Magda by Lou Yardley. Magda had been a regular fixture in our office for as long as I could remember. Her cardigans and horn-rimmed glasses were as familiar to me as the rows of desks, the buzzing overhead light, and the stale smell of coffee. As far as I could tell, she was nearing retirement age. In fact, I'd probably go as far as to say she was long past it. Sometimes, I imagined that she'd been there since the beginning of time, and that she'd keep on going until the end. I'd seen her on my first day, and every day since. Her fingers tapped on a keyboard at a speed that didn't seem human. Tap tap tap, 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 tap tap tap. Her actual job was a mystery to me, but she always seemed busy. A hive of activity, hitting deadlines and surpassing targets. Magda had to be a star employee. But she was never awarded the illustrious title of Staff Member of the Month. And nor was she ever mentioned in the staff newsletter. Not even to congratulate her on her many years of service. It was hard to tell if this was strange or not. Not paying attention to Magda seemed to be the norm. Not only was her work life a mystery, but she was an enigma in general. I've been working in the office for almost 10 years, and I still don't know if she was married, had any children or grandchildren, and I had no clue what she did at the weekend. In fact, I'm pretty sure that I couldn't have said more than 2 words to the woman in the whole decade that we spent sat in the same room. That's not to say I was ever rude to her. If our eyes met, I'd always give her a little nod hello, or goodbye depending on the time of day. But, to my recollection, we'd never actually had a conversation. Perhaps, now that I'm thinking about it, there's a chance that I've never even heard her voice. But that's not terribly strange, is it? Many of us go through life without knowing the names of our neighbours or the hobbies of our colleagues. At least I knew Magda's name, which was more than what could be said for most. One Thursday morning I arrived at the office just before 9, as I usually do. On a normal day, Magda would be there already, tapping away on her keyboard. Occasionally she'd give me a look over the top of her glasses, but she never gave any indication as to whether she was pleased to see me or not. While it wasn't much, that was my normality. But that Thursday morning, my reality was shattered. Magda wasn't there. Her cardigan wasn't hung over the back of her chair, and her ever-present mug of tea was missing from her desk. In fact, her whole desk was missing. There was just a space at the end of the office where she used to be. She was gone without a trace. Maybe she's been transferred to another department, I reasoned with myself. Maybe she finally retired. For a while, those ideas seemed to be reasonable answers to my question. But by about lunchtime, a nagging doubt had crept into my head, and it wouldn't leave. What if something had happened to her? A sinking feeling in my gut told me this was probably the case. "Do you know what happened to Magda?" asked one of my colleagues. Alan sat on the desk next to mine, and while we were not best friends, we did talk more than I had talked to Magda. "She the one off the talent programme?" he asked. "No, she used to sit at the back of the office." Alan looked to the empty space at the end of the office as if it would jog his memory. "Since when?" "Since always," I said. "She was here every day, until today. Do you think something's happened to her?" "I've got no idea what you're talking about," Alan said, turning back to his computer screen. "But I'm sure she's fine." Now, it might be that Alan wasn't a particularly observant man, and that may still be true. But I also asked half a dozen other people the same question, and I got more or less the same answer. No one could recall who Magda was, and more importantly, no one knew where she'd gone. "Maybe you imagined her," Faith, the lady from finance, had said, giggling. Although I knew she was only trying to lighten my mood, her words stuck with me. What if I had invented a person? Was that even possible? Children have imaginary friends all the time, so it wasn't beyond the realms of possibility. But she had seemed so real. I'm really not that imaginative. I was thankful when it was finally time to go home that evening. I got in, got changed, and boiled the kettle. My kettle is one of those posh stainless steel ones, and I keep it polished to a shine. In fact, it was so shiny, I could see my face in it. I poured the boiling water into my favourite mug over one of my favourite tea bags. If tea couldn't put this right, I don't know what could. As I returned the kettle back to its place, I noticed something. Something that I couldn't quite put my finger on, but it bugged me. With my mind distracted, I added a splash of milk to my tea, nearly spilling it over the kitchen worktop. But I wasn't worried about that. I had other things on my mind. Like the phantom face that had appeared next to mine in the shiny kettle. Horn-rimmed glasses framed green eyes and a pale complexion. I turned, expecting to see Magda's ghostly apparition lurking behind me. But there was no one there. Maybe I had made the old woman up. Maybe I was losing my marbles. As I checked the kettle again, only my reflection stared back. Maybe it was a strange form of grief. Grief for a woman I didn't know. Grief for a woman who may not have existed. She must have meant more to me than I realised. Whatever this was, grief or not, it continued as I got ready for bed. I was almost expecting her as she appeared in the mirror in my bedroom at the foot of the bed. No words passed between us, but we stared at each other for a long time. I gave her a nod. She didn't nod back. But this didn't surprise me, as she had never acknowledged a nod at the office either. It was comforting in an odd way. After leaving the room to brush my teeth, I returned to find that she was gone again. I turned off the light and got into bed. Despite the stresses of the day, or perhaps because of them, I was fast asleep within minutes. I was unaware that she had returned to the mirror. Tap tap tap, tap tap tap, tap tap tap, tap tap tap, tap tap Unsure if the noise was real or part of a dream I was having, I ignored it. I was tired and needed to sleep. Tap tap tap, 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 tap tap tap. My eyes stayed shut. Tap tap tap, tap tap tap, tap tap tap, tap tap tap, tap tap tap. A weight gently lowered itself onto the end of my bed. There was no way this was a dream. Still refusing to wake up fully, I cracked my eyes open a little and squinted into the darkness. As my eyes adjusted, I saw a shape sitting on the bed next to me. Moonlight bounced off a pair of horn-rimmed glasses. Magda was out of the mirror. Unsure if this was a good or bad thing, I tried to sit up. My body refused to obey me and remained frozen in place. I couldn't move as she moved her face closer to mine. Still frozen, I watched as a gnarled hand with mottled skin crept along my blanket. Slowly it moved, as if savouring the moment, delighting in my panic. Cracked nails with chipped nail polish brushed against me. I was still paralysed as she lifted one of my hands, and I didn't even flinch as she sunk her teeth into my flesh. Intrigued, I watched as my blood dribbled down her chin. And as she devoured me piece by piece, I found myself thinking, at least I'm not imagining her. The end. Thank you so much for listening. Please feel free to share this with anyone who may enjoy it, and I'll be back really, really soon. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and be excellent to each other. Blood, guts and hugs. Bye!